Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us in the VIP lounge for another episode 2 of Pillow Talk. Thank you so much for everybody who responded to our last episode as well. We got a lot of really good support, and we love the encouragement and all the really kind words that everybody's been giving us. Again, if you'd like to join in on our conversation, you can reach us out on social media, submit any questions or any topics that you'd like to hear us talk about.
Yeah, so many of you guys liked our Instagram post with our promo photos, so I made Marcus dress in pajamas today. Oh, you giving them a panty shot?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oops. Gotta cover it up.
If you can guess what underwear he's wearing, we're going to give you a shout out in the next episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Very few people will know what underwear I have anyway.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our OnlyFans.
I would hope very few people know.
I would too.
How dare
That's
you bring
creepy as fuck.
Yeah, how dare you bring that underwear into our bedroom?
You're right. Today we're going to start off with another question that we received from Instagram.
This question is, what are some tips on staying disciplined? And when they talk about discipline, I think they're referring to fitness.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, are we even
Are we
qualified to even... Are we even qualified to answer this question?
We're qualified to answer this question.
If it's regarding fitness, probably. Anything else? Nah.
I think I have some street cred. I lost 45 pounds this year. I have gym cred.
No, you got gym cred. Not to stomp on your light. I think it depends more on what specific topic of interest you're talking about in terms of discipline. A lot of people have specific priorities in their lives and things that they actually care about. And that's what we accustom to as discipline or success. I don't necessarily want to say that I'm more disciplined about something than other people are, just because I do something more timely and I do something with more care and effort than somebody else does at the same thing does not make me any more disciplined of a person.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the other day too, that discipline refers to kind of how far you're willing to go to accomplish a certain goal.
Yeah, I think it also is a better question of what do you actually care about? Or what is your bigger priority? What is your bigger goal?
And some people ask about discipline like it's a really nice character trait to have, but in actuality a lot of people, and I would say everybody, has discipline. It just matters where you're focusing that energy at. So you can be disciplined in going to the gym every day. Those are productive things to do, but some people are disciplined in the wrong things. And what I mean is that some people go out every Friday night, and that takes discipline too.
That's true. If you plan on going out every weekend, that's a commitment that you've put yourself into.
Yes. I mean, discipline could be a good or a bad thing. It's just how you use it. I think they said, what are some tips? But we literally give them the Asian parent talk about what are some tips on staying disciplined. Okay, to summarize.
Wait. Go back to your street cred thing. What are your street creds at the gym? I want to hear about this first.
Okay, so my gym cred, not my street cred.
Oh, sorry,
because if you catch me saying that on the street, I will get capped. So
You're not gonna get capped. That's not even what the kids say. You're gonna get popped.
No, they used to say capped in the 90s.
Pop a cap in your knee. That was the saying.
Was it? Well, anyways, I'll get bullied is what I'm trying to say, because I don't look like I have street cred. My gym cred. So we've been going to the gym consistently for about 2 years now, coming on 3. The first year was kind of like me getting back into the swing of things. And the second year, which is this current year, I lost 45 pounds, which was absolutely nuts because I went from 220 pounds to 175, which was crazy. I didn't even know I had in me to do, because I spent so much of my life fad dieting, and that was kind of my reality that I can lose this, but in the back of my mind, it's always going to come back.
Props to you. Woo!
Yay, thank you.
Wait, do I have the right sound? There we go.
Thank you.
So that's a really amazing accomplishment.
Thank you.
To be honest. Not a lot of people can do that. That has a lot to say about discipline, don't you?
I just got PTSD because that's every Asian parent that's I think that has a lot to do with discipline. Don't you, Peter? Don't you, Jacqueline?
Yeah. So what are some tips or something that you could give about that journey?
I'm going to plug myself because I wrote a lot about this in my blog.
Okay.
It's called the Are We There Yet blog.com. So I would say that discovering your motivation and your why is important, but realize that this isn't going to be a concrete thing. Your motivation will always change. So at the beginning of my fitness journey, a big motivation for me was when I dislocated my knee for the first time. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's because I was fat as fuck.
Dang, okay.
I was so big, okay, that I tried to get up off the ground and I just displaced the weight and popped my knee.
So that was like your wake up call there. You're like, oh, you know.
And to also clarify, I'm just the type of person that when I see someone that is maybe a little bit bigger, I really don't see them for their outer appearance. I just see a person as a person. But when I think about myself, when I look at myself in the mirror, I remember being so overly critical and just thinking that like I would never talk to anybody like that I knew or was a stranger like this. So like, why would I also talk to myself like that? You know, those two things kind of like connected in my head where I was like, okay, so I realized that I was physically not in the healthiest place, and mentally the way I thought about it was also not a great way of handling it. So it was when I changed my physical and my mental habits where it actually really stayed. And then after that, it felt so effortless to do.
I think there's a few good points that you're talking about. One, I think, is a very personal challenge that you gave to yourself. That in itself is a good reason for somebody to keep going. That sustainability over like a long period of time is like almost more important than potentially the why, because having the personal goal or the personal want or the personal need to achieve that is ultimately what you're striving for. The other point that I wanted to say was important. You didn't compare yourself to another person. You didn't look as if, oh, you know, I wish I was a celebrity. That has a lot of detrimental effects into the way that you look at your own self-image and also your own realistic goals, because you want to look however you want. You want to be happy with yourself. But if your ideal self is in comparison to somebody else, you're never going to achieve that because you can't.
Yes. I also wanted to say that you brought up a really good point, because when I was a kid, I absolutely wanted to look like I was like an East Asian pop star.
That's funny.
I literally wanted to look like that so bad.
Girls have a lot of a different view on self-image than I think guys do, especially for Asian guys. For me, I'm almost lucky that I didn't have anybody to look up to in terms of fitness. Like there's no like Asian fitness person that I could look up to at a really young age. But I think for a lot of girls, that's a lot different, because no matter what type of ethnicity you are, you're always going to look at somebody in that ethnicity and say like, oh, you know, I wish that I was like look like them. You know what I mean? Or there's always the like toxic Asian parenting of like, why are you so fat?
Yeah, that it's that. But I think for me, I don't look really Thai or really Lao or really Chinese. So a lot of people, when they see me, they assume that I'm either half Japanese or Korean. But they're like, your face and like your skin kind of looks like it, but your body, it don't look like it. So
there are like, people that look all shapes and sizes of all different ethnicities.
I agree with that, but I feel like I've gotten those comments so many times where it kind of was just like put in my head where like, I do look like this, but why don't I look just like this? But now I just want to be strong.
Yeah, the motivation changes. You find different reasons to do whatever you want to do, but the most important part is finding the reason why and also finding the will to do it for yourself.
So when I first started, my motivation was to be at a healthy weight where I would not hurt myself.
Yeah.
And then as I lost more weight, I was at the gym and I saw that you were looking good. And I saw some other people who were looking good, aka like other girls. And I'm like, I want to look good too. So I was like, I want to be the best looking girlfriend, fiance, wife he has ever had.
I also want to say that there's no reason why you can't look at body positivity in a positive light as well, in terms of, hey, I just want to aesthetically look good.
At one point, that was my motivation too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not comparing myself to anybody else, being like, I look better than this person.
You want to look like the best version of you.
I just want to look like the best Nina that anybody has ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like hot.
Exactly, yeah. You find your sexy version of you and you strive for it. I have the same story in that sense. One day I woke up and the scale almost hit like 200, but it wasn't anything that necessarily overnight clicked for me that I needed to go to the gym. I think it was an ongoing conversation for me. So it doesn't have to happen all of a sudden. You and I had conversations before where I was going back and forth and I was like, hey, you know, I don't feel like this is the life that I was meant to live.
Right.
This is not how I want to feel every day. This is not how I want to, it just doesn't feel right. For me, I'm really glad that I caught it in the right time, knowing that I needed to take action. And so it was like acting on that urge, that need to do something about it, that really changed the whole game for me. I think that's probably one of my biggest tips is just saying, hey, you know, if there's something that doesn't feel right, do it. What's the worst that could happen, right? I go to the gym, end up not liking it, leave. Well, at least I did something.
A comment that I got a lot when I asked questions on my Instagram for my fitness FAQ blog post was, how do you get over being shy or like embarrassed or self-conscious at the gym?
Oh, that's interesting.
And I told almost everybody was that the first maybe month you feel so uncomfortable. And maybe after a little bit, that uncomfortable might not go away, but it does kind of slip farther and farther back into the back of your mind. Because when I first started, I remember being like, oh my God, I'm like the biggest person here. Like, I'm not doing any of the exercises right. I'm jiggling. After a little bit, you kind of realize that like when you get up and look around, nobody's looking at you.
Yeah. Nobody's looking at you at all.
Everybody's doing their own thing. And it kind of comes into thought that everybody's doing the same thing. They're all working on like trying to better themselves. So just keep your head down and just do your workout. Make sure you do it to your best ability. And it really just comes.
In the gym, a lot of people feel like they are being watched, but I think ultimately if it comes down to it, if you're more worried about your self-image or you're more worried about how other people are looking, I think starting over and asking the question, why am I even here in the first place?
Yeah.
That might be a better place to start than just being like, oh, you know, like XYZ is doing this thing that's like really wrong. Like most people who you think are thinking that about you probably aren't. And if you're thinking that about other people, you're not going to the gym for the right reason.
Right.
Here's the most cliche advice that I could give, and it's probably an acronym that everybody's heard of. Fail. You should allow yourself to fail because failing is your first attempt in learning. So yeah, it's cliche.
Oh, it's on every icky 90s like poster. Actually, I kind of like that. We should buy a poster and put it on our wall.
Yeah, it's cliche, but it works.
It works. Yeah.
You're never going to be good at it for the first time. Honestly, I don't even think that I saw results in the mirror until 6, 8, 12 months in. Like a whole year in.
I didn't even see mine until like a year in.
But I can't stress this enough. As stupid as you think it looks, take photos, take videos, take progress stuff all over. Because when I look at some of the pictures that I had before, there are incremental changes that happen throughout. Like I'd still be fat. Like don't get me wrong. I'd still be like at the time when I'm taking it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still fat. Day 250, I'm still fat. But looking back at it, if you're going back for the whole purpose of seeing like, oh, you know, what are the changes that I've noticed in the past 6, 8 months? You're going to see the small things. You're not going to see them in the moment because you see yourself every single day. But quite truthfully, when you look back at some of those photos, like, wow, eye-opening.
Yes.
Crazy.
That is really good advice. And that's actually something I told a lot of people that asked me to. I told them to take a lot of photos, even if you feel self-conscious, because that's something I wish I told myself when I started. Because in the back of my head, when I started, I just had this voice that was like, you're gonna give up anyways. When I look back and see like how many photos I actually had, I was shook because I remember telling Marcus this, maybe I was like 14 or 15 months into it. At my biggest, I was wearing like size 16 jeans. And there was one morning where I was waking up late for work. So I went to go, put on the jeans and pull them up. But then I realized I didn't even button it or zip it. And when I looked down, it was like managed to put on the whole jean without even, opening it. And then that weekend when we bought new clothes, I was actually a size 8.
Wow.
And I didn't even
half.
I didn't even recognize like the changes because it was also my mindset, because I knew that I was like, oh, I didn't change that much.
Yeah,
like,
when you're looking
when
you're looking in the mirror, you might not see like the centimeters of yourself like shrinking.
Right.
But over time, as you progress, that adds up. And that adds up to a lot.
It was crazy.
For me, one of the biggest doubts that I had was my fitness like content. I had to remind myself over and over, especially at the start, wondering why I even started to do content, why I started even to post any of that stuff. I kept going back to the reason of, this is my journey, this is my journal. And that's ultimately why I did it. Even though I was doubting myself every single post, every single time that I put something up there, like, yeah, I'm not the biggest guy at the gym. I'm not the strongest person at the gym. Like that's a given, but that's not why I'm doing it.
Yes.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of social media where like everybody is doing something way, way, way ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And like, oh yeah, everybody's getting the views for it. But like, I never cared about the views per se. It's cool if people like it. It's cool if people like follow along. But I'm not doing this for anybody else to compare me to. I'm doing this more as an inspiration for somebody else who's looking to join in, change themselves, and to really look for a way to, start. There's a lot of foo-foo science that happens in the gym, and not just at the gym, all over. Supplements, all of these stupid stuff that get thrown around all over the place just because of marketing, just because of, everybody's trying something fast, easy, quick. Nobody wants to really answer, how do you do it?
Right.
Well, how do you do it? Like 2 years of hard work? Nobody wants to hear that. Yeah. Or it's not, that doesn't sound sexy. That doesn't sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
People want like the quick tips. I got a lot of that too.
Yeah.
People are like, so what did you do? How did you do it? I'm like, I walked like 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And I didn't drink soda.
Yeah. A lot of what I think success means to me is really boring to what other people think. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And that goes the same with discipline. You want to be disciplined? One big tip that I have is to find something that you can stay consistent at. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be super fun and super exciting to other people that you tell. But if it's fun to you, like we go to gym 6 days a week now. That's fun for us. Yeah. We spend time together. We get to go spend time with friends, and we get to work really hard with weights and throw them around and feel good about ourselves. After a while, that becomes habit. After that, it becomes just part of your daily routine. And then people look at you and they say, oh, you're disciplined.
Yeah.
But you're not.
It's making a sustainable habit.
Yeah.
And that's something I talk about in my blog post too.
Oh, okay.
But
it's also making discipline seem more like a positive connotation than it is in the light of like people growing up in the 90s. Yes. Or you know, people grow up with pigment.
If you literally stop that. If you literally were born before 2000, you thought discipline was getting your ass beat with a coat hanger. Like literally that's what it was. But I digress.
It could mean whatever you want it to mean as long as you get your stuff done.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
GSD, get shit done. So hopefully that answers a little bit about some good tips for discipline. To summarize,
find your motivation and your why. Your motivation is always going to change. It could be whatever you want when you start, but it has to be something that's sustainable for you and something that really gets you going whenever you feel like giving up.
Yeah. The second reason is to do it for yourself.
Yes.
Nobody else can do it for you. Really, if you think about it, nobody's going to wake you up in the morning to be like, hey, go do it. Well, you know what my grandma did? She woke me up every morning when I was a kid to be like, get up. I don't care what you do. Just get up. Because I would be.
Oh my God. I literally tell you that now.
Yeah. See, I'm not that disciplined.
But you are disciplined in going to the gym. So it's just
I'm disciplined. Thing. Yeah, it depends on the thing. I just got to find my reason. You know what I'm saying? And the next tip number 3 is to allow yourself to fail.
Yes. What does fail mean again?
Yeah, what does fail mean again?
Pop quiz.
Say it after me.
Say it after Marcus.
First attempt at learning.
That's fall.
First attempt in learning. First attempt in learning.
Yes.
That's what fail means.
Yay. Play the audio. Yay.
Thank you. So if you allow yourself to fail, one of the best tips that I ever got from failing is that you're always learning something from failing. You never take anything, and nothing is a complete loss unless you completely stop yourself from doing it. By that point, you're just giving up. At that point, you're actually failing. That's the only time that you'll fail. As long as you don't do that, you'll be fine. Progress is always going to be slow, but the change is always going to be happening. Here's a bonus piece of advice that I could give about staying disciplined.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, actually, yeah. Tip number 4
is just do it.
Just freaking do it.
You're just going to wish you did it yesterday. And if you wake up and just do it, and then the next day wake up and just do it, I promise you in a few days, you're going to be like, oh, it really wasn't that hard to do yesterday. It only takes an hour to do.
Yeah. Eventually it's going to feel like it's really easy because it kind of is.
Yeah.
You're going to find that once you get good at it, it's not difficult. But the first step is just to start.
Yes.
So that's the best tips that we got.
And I would also say that if this is your first time with anything like goal setting or I guess like disciplining yourself, willing yourself to do something.
Disciplining yourself.
I don't want to say it like that. Motivating yourself to do something like this, setting a goal. Fitness is such a good first step, in my opinion, that I wish I did something like this.
It translates to a lot of stuff.
Yes, it really does. And I wish that I started this when I was like in high school rather than like counting calories and...
I actually was trained in...
Yeah, you were.
In my first year in college. No, it was after high school. Yeah. When I was like 17 or 18, actually.
Yeah.
I was a trained individual. Then school started and I was like, I can't train anymore. Then I let myself go and I was like, shit, how much easier would it have been even if I didn't train to my fullest potential? Yeah. If I went to the gym 30 minutes just to maintain whatever I had when I was 17 or 18, how much easier would it have been to have come back and been already trained to where I'm at now? Imagine the lost time. 4 years, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But that's like hindsight is always 20/20. You're never going to have all the answers, but the important part is that you start now.
Yes.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Next best time now.
Yes.
For more cliche tips at the Marcus Leong Instagram. or the Pillow Talk podcast.
Yes.
Right now.
I love like things like that because it's so true.
Or you can find meaning to anything. You can find meaning to anything. You can take a shit and you can find meaning.
Yeah, let's just like this. Now you've seen all of Phoenix.
Okay. Anyway, completely random, completely out of context.
But you said you can find meaning in anything.
You can. Okay. Somebody somewhere out there, if you found meaning to whatever that sentence was, give us a like.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to transition into playing. We're not really strangers. We're going to do a new card, a new level 2. So if you didn't watch episode 1, go and watch it because we don't want to explain the rules. Basically, we're just answering questions on cards.
1 is perception, 2 is connection, and 3 is reflection.
All those 3 levels probably mean nothing to you if you've never played the game, but they get more and more intense. Conversations get deeper. The first episode we did level 1. This episode, we're going to do level 2. So hopefully we get some good juicy ones.
So what is one way our relationship has gotten better over time?
Oh, we age like fine wine.
Mm-hmm. We're young.
Yes. It's just like genuine.
Oh my God. Let's not talk about it.
Wait. Here's the reference. We tried to start a podcast months.
Like a year ago.
And we named it Genuine, where we would try to drink a glass of wine and talk about something. We got way too wasted.
We just drank the whole bottle.
Yeah, we ended up drinking the whole bottle. Nothing got done. So you're welcome.
We just sat here and went hee hee hee
yeah,
for like 2 hours.
You're welcome that we don't have a glass of wine to enjoy with you all. Hopefully you all at least have a glass of wine to enjoy.
We have tea.
A much more disciplined approach.
Yes. Oh yes. Here.
Pinkies up.
Oh, pinkies up. Let's cheers to that.
We're gonna break the glass.
Let's cheers to that gently. What's one way our relationship has gotten better over time?
I think we've done a really good job at being patient with each other over time. Not a lot of people can say this because people think that as you grow as a couple, you end up being like bickering husband and wife. But we've done a lot less bickering over the years.
While it does happen on occasion, it's just like little petty stuff. Like you put the cup in the wrong place.
Yeah, but it's also not like serious. We've been really good at working through our problems together. That is absolutely one way, in my opinion, that we've aged like fine wine.
Can I also answer?
Yeah, you can answer that. If you like that, you answer it.
I do like this question. So, when people say, or like when you meet a married couple, sometimes they say like, oh, I married my best friend. I look at couples like that very critically because how many times have I heard that and then later down the line they get divorced?
Oh, you're right.
And I'm just like, you lied to me.
Well, people can change, you know.
Yeah, but when I say like that you're my best friend, like I married my best friend, I like wholeheartedly mean it. And the reason why I say that is
because... Do we have a button for that? Oh. Oh.
And I can say that wholeheartedly because when we first met, I kind of had the idea that when I find my ideal partner, I would be friends with them first before dating them. We kind of just like went right into it. And in the back of my head, I was worried. Scary. It was scary. In the back of my head, I was worried. I was like, is this even going to last? Because it feels like it's too good to be true. You know, we've grown up together. We've kind of went through our trials and tribulations and whatnot.
Whatever you want to call it.
Now I feel like we're actually besties. Look at our friendship ring.
Another thing I wanted to add to this question. What is one way that our relationship has gotten better over time? We've both gotten better looking.
That deserves a sparkle.
No, it's going to be like this. I can't actually. We both looked okay when we first.
We both looked hot.
No, well, when we first started, yes.
Yes.
Then you know.
Then COVID.
The happy
happened.
Weight, COVID. Yeah. We don't talk about that.
Oh, those dark.
We already talked about that. Actually, you know, we already talked about it. Discipline will make you look better.
Unless you're disciplined in having Mickey D's every night.
Yeah, don't do that. My turn to pick out a card. What do you overthink most in our relationship, if anything? It's a pretty good one.
I overthink, and we literally talked about this like the other day too. One thing I always overthink is just how powerful your voice is when you say something. I always think that like there's an underlying like message you're trying to convey.
Oh, you're like thinking, or what's that term? You're looking into it. Yeah, you're looking into it.
Okay, my whole childhood was under a very authoritarian parenting style. So I remember being really fearful of the way that my parents would say things. So if they said things in a certain tone, if they raised their voice, I was very like sensitive to that because it just meant that I did something wrong. So whenever I hear you talk in a certain way, it kind of like triggers that for me. And I think, oh my gosh, like, did I miss something? Did I do something wrong?
So I'm Cantonese.
Yeah.
Those who know that it's
they only have like, one volume.
Cantonese people are like the Germans of Europe.
Of Asia, the Germans of Asia.
Oh, yeah. Cantonese people are like the Germans of Asia. When you say something, you say it with force. You say it with willpower. Yeah, like a conversation with my grandma would be very endearing.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna sound like that to anybody else.
Yeah, because sometimes.
But also, my grandma and I are also very passionate people. So when we say stuff, it's like strong.
Yeah. No, that's like complete opposite of me. Like I could be told the most heinous things to my face from people I loved, but if they just said so in a quiet voice, I would be like, oh.
Your parents could look straight at you in your eyes and be like, oh, you were adopted, and you'd be like, oh, okay.
No, they can look straight in my eyes and be like, I fucking hate you. And I would be like, oh, I mean, that's nothing new. Like, I knew that.
Hopefully we answered some of your questions and gave you some good tips on how to stay disciplined. And I hope that you enjoyed that game of We're Not Really Strangers. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up right there. Thank you so much. Give us a shout out. Share with your friends. Listen to it. Watch it. Blow it up. Thank you.
I wanted to say something too.
Go ahead.
If you figure out what kind of panties Marcus is wearing, comment it. And then if you get it right, we'll give you a shout out in the next episode.
That's going to be really creepy, but if you get
Cover it up. Cover it up. Stop. You're teasing them. Ooh. Cover it up.
It's going to be really creepy if any of you actually get it. But if you do, I commend you. Don't do anything illegal to try to find out. Peace out.
If you get it, my follow-up question is, did you sniff it?